Hello everyone, we are going to be learning about the special right triangles this time, but 30, 60, 90 degree triangles. So what we want to do is we want to go through and actually label our general formula here. So the SL stands for short leg. So the short leg is always going to be, if you see here, the short leg will always be across from that 30 degree angle. So that's how you identify where that value is going to be. So again, our short leg right now is going to be X here. The LL stands for our long leg, and for our long leg, we are always going to have it across from the 60 degree angle. So across from our 60 degree angle over here, we see that it is X square root 3. So then we have our hypotenuse, which will always be directly across from that 90 degree angle. Again, you have your hypotenuse over here directly across from that 90 degree angle. And our hypotenuse for our general formula is 2x. So that's just a way for you guys to remember where locating these things is the most important thing. So we're going to place the side measures given on the correct sides of the actual triangle. So we know that this is the short leg, which is going to be the 4. And then we have our, remember, our hypotenuse was times 2, whatever that short leg was. So if I take 4 and times that by 2, I see that it's 8, and again, my hypotenuse is across from that 90 degree angle. And then that root 3, so it's our short leg times the square root of 3. So 4 root 3 will be the long leg, which is directly across from the 60 degrees. So again, here we have 20, 10, and 10 root 3. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with my short leg because I know that that's the lowest value of 10, which is directly across from 30 degrees. And then your 60, which is your long leg, is going to be multiplied by the square root 3. And then we have our hypotenuse that is multiplied by the short leg times 2. So 10 times 2 is 20. Alright, I want you guys to try and do, actually we'll do this one too. So if we have the lowest number here, so the lowest number is the square root of 2, it's going to be across from the 30 degree angle, so this will be square root 2. So we already have that one done, and then if we multiply that by 2, remember we can't multiply our radical if it's outside the coefficient. Our hypotenuse is just the 2 root 2, because the 2 is already out of the radical. And then if we actually take the short leg and we multiply it by the square root of 3, now we are allowed to multiply the radicands, and we end up getting our square root 6, and that's going to be our long leg. Again, just to show you the square root 2 being multiplied by 2. Remember, this is outside the radicand, this is inside, so that's why we have just our 2 square root 2. To go over a few examples, we're going to find the lengths of other two sides of the triangle. So we're going to put our answers in simplest radical form too. So we are given a short leg. The reason why I know that is because it's across from the 30 degree angle. So now we're going to figure out x and y. So if I have this short leg equaling 4, I am just going to multiply by, to find my x, I'm going to multiply 4 times 2 to get my hypotenuse. And my hypotenuse represents x, so x equals 8. Now I have to figure out my long leg, and so my long leg formula, long leg, equals, I have to multiply the short leg times the square root of 3. So that's actually it. That is our long leg. So I have y equaling 4 square root 3. Let's go ahead and do one where we have the hypotenuse. So this time, our hypotenuse equals 7. And let's put units on these two, feet and feet. So if we go ahead and figure out the short leg first. So since we were given the hypotenuse, we're going to plug it into our formula. We're going to say, okay, well, if I have the hypotenuse and we're trying to figure out the actual short leg, so I'm going to go back to the formula. See how our hypotenuse is 2x? So I'm going to set that 7 equal to 2x, just so we could solve for x to see what our short leg will actually be. So it looks like x will equal 7 over 2. However, this does not represent the short leg in this case, because remember it's a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So this actually is the letter y for right now. So this is going to be y equals 7 over 2. If it's easier, you could just say the short leg. So once you get x by itself, remember that represents the short leg. So now I could take the short leg, and in order to get the long leg, I am now going to multiply that by the square root of 3. So now I just multiply, this is a fraction, I'm just going to multiply the 7 square root 3 over 2. We can't simplify anything, so this is a 2, and that means that this is our long leg, which is also the value of y. It's a lot of practice, you guys. We'll be practicing this a lot in class too. So then our next example here, now this is a 30, 90, this is 60, which means that across from the 60, the value I'm given is the long leg. The long leg formula is just the x square root 3. So what's nice is that we said this is a square root 3, and I have a 9 in front of it. So the 9 equals the x, which means that that's the short leg. So I have x equals 9. I'm also going to show you guys algebraically. So the long leg in our case is 9 square root 3 equals x square root 3. If I divide both sides by the square root of 3 to get rid of, or to try and get my x by itself, I see that I end up getting x equals 9, which is yay, this is the short leg. So either way, and then now my hypotenuse is always 2 times the x. That's for your hypotenuse, which means I'm going to do 2 times 9, which is 18, and that's your y equals 18. Okay, and then our last actual triangle example, and then we're going to do one word problem example. So here I'm given the hypotenuse again. So remember our hypotenuse general formula was 2x, and my hypotenuse in this example actually equals 10. I'm going to go ahead and divide by 2 to get x equal 5. Remember, x is the short leg, so I'm trying to figure out what short leg that actually is. And in order to figure out the short leg, I actually have x and 2x here. So which one do you think? So if this is 90 degrees, I have a value, and then when you multiply by 2, it gets that 2x. So if I did that 30 degrees, let's actually erase some of these arrows so I can plug this in. So if I did 30 degrees and multiplied by 2, I would get my 60. So this is a 30, 60, 90, so that's where our angles are, so that means our short leg is actually over here. So this is our 5, and in order to figure out our long leg, which is across from the 60, we are now, for y, we are now going to do 5 times the square root of 3, and that's all I actually can do. I need to simplify. So now we're going to go over the word problem. So for our example, an altitude of an equilateral triangle is 18 centimeters. Find the perimeter of the triangle in simplest radical form. So the altitude is actually just the height of the triangle. So an equilateral triangle, remember we have an equilateral triangle where we have all the same sides, all the same angles, and in order for all of our angles to be the same, these all have to be 60 because they all need to add up to 180. So if we have the altitude, that's what I just said is this actual altitude is actually the height, and it says the altitude of an equilateral triangle is 18 centimeters. We're going to find the perimeter. Remember, the perimeter is adding up all of the sides, so we need to find all the sides. Basically, we have just one length to actually determine the side of this simplified radical form, and we're going to figure this out. So we have what I'm going to do, again, remember, always please write your pictures or draw pictures to help you with word problems. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this half of the triangle, just to show you that we're working with a smaller triangle as well. We know that this is 18 centimeters. We know that this is 60 degrees. So I'm basically just taking this chunk right here. And I'm going to work with that first. So that's 60. If I cut that in half, that means that this was 30, and then this always makes the right angle, so that's our 90. So I have my 30, 60, 90, and I was given the long leg. So since I was given the long leg, and that equals 18, my general formula for the long leg is x square root 3. And in our case right now for this example, it equals 18. So we need to divide by the square root of 3. And I get x equals 18 divided by the square root of 3. Well, we have an irrational number in our denominator, so we need to actually multiply by the square root of 3. on the numerator and denominator to rationalize it. And now we have 18 square root 3 over 3. We just need to simplify our fraction of the 18 over 3, and we end up getting 6 square root 3. So that is right here. 6 square root 3 is here. That's our short leg, so we just got x by itself. Remember, the general formula for the short leg is x. And then we now have to figure out our hypotenuse, because, or we could double this, either way, because we've actually only technically figured out the square root of 3 right here, but this would also be the square root of 3. So either we can add it, or we can just multiply by 2 to get our hypotenuse, which will be this side here, which means that if we get one side, all the sides are equal. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to multiply our short leg by 2 to get that hypotenuse of 12 square root 3. So this 12 square root 3 represents all of our sides here, and we are trying to figure out our perimeter. So our perimeter, if we add up 12 square root 3 plus 12 square root 3 plus 12 square root 3, we end up getting 12 plus 12 is 24, plus another 12, we get 36 square root 3. This equals our perimeter. It's a little messy, but we got it. And we figured out that these will actually be centimeters, and we left it in simplified radical form. All right, you guys, so this is your notes for today. I promise we will practice this a lot. It is a little bit difficult to kind of capture all the different things that we're doing. So I will see you in class, and have a good day.